That was sharp.
We got in a fucking big ol' argument about it.
Oh my god!
All right.
Like after the fact or before it?
Before the fact.
Hey, we're live. So we started on time. It's 4:00. It's 4:00 Central Time.
Wow.
5 Eastern Time. We deserve some sort of something. So we're live on time. I don't know what to do with myself. But anyways, this is the Swolecast. I'm Soccer Dave, David Kitchen. You might know me as the Daily Fantasy Accuracy Cup champion from 2014. Also, CEO of Fantasy Insiders, multiple live appearances, Fantasy Feud champion way back when. Sirius XM Fantasy.
A lot of stuff that happened a lot of years ago.
Sirius XM Fantasy co-host of the Fantasy Insider Show with Dave Lochran. Gaspar.
David is so upset someone asked why.
No. Stop. Dan Gaspar, Mr. Tuttle 05. He's almost up to 20 live appearances. He's a 2-time winner of the Daily Fantasy Accuracy Cup Challenge. Also a co-founder of Fantasy Insiders. You can reach him on Twitter at Mr. Tuttle05. And then we have Evan Silva. Evan Silva, you've won like writing awards, right, Evan? Like Fantasy Sports Writers Association awards. You have.
He won the $5 GPP on Fantasy last
He
year.
won $20,000.
Yeah, he won $20,000 last year. He's the guy that came up with the whole pockets on Swole concept for the that we later turned into the Swolecast from Roto World. One of the most read fantasy football authors that there is.
No, the most read.
Okay, so at Evan Silva. And then Davis, Mattek. Davis has a dog. You like to use the word lit.
I got to keep my hair, fella. That's the only thing that people need to know.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
He's wearing a basketball jersey.
And
T-Mac.
And you got to keep your hair.
Smash.
So we did a $1,000 bet with Davis. Or not $1,000 bet, $1,000 free roll with Davis. And if he lost, he had to cut his hair. If he won, he could keep that money. Real quick, Davis, what did you do with the money?
What did I do with the money?
Yeah.
I bought Bitcoin. I bought some Bitcoin.
What? I thought you were changing the struts on your car or something.
Yeah, I mean, I had to buy some Bitcoin, though.
What? Have you taken your car?
Nah.
Of course not.
Also,
I had to buy some Bitcoin.
Tuttle, thanks for calling me out. I was about to say the only thing I did not change was the banner, and I like tried to 2 minutes beforehand, but it was going to take. I didn't want to. I'm sacrificing the whole banner for week 1 into week 2, so it is what it is. Let's get on to it. As far as the Swolecast challenge, we'll have some people later. Future shows, more Swolecast challenge opportunities. I think we should do a Swolecast challenge though to get better FI stuff for the Swolecast. So either Evan needs to play for a new mic and new lights, Tuttle needs to play for a new mic and new lights, or I need to play for consulting lessons on how to produce a show, and maybe like a stand-up, like cardboard cutouts of Davis, Evan, and Tuttle in the background. I don't know.
Well, how about we make a FanDuel lineup right now, and this week's challenge is to enter it into the monster.
No, because I want to have a legit shot at getting you or Evan mics and lights.
Yeah, we're gonna win with this lineup that we're gonna make right now.
Let's build it right now. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Tuttle, you go first.
Evan has first pick.
Or Evan, you got first pick.
Jesus James.
Yeah.
The Outlaw. How easy. Okay, we'll talk about this later. He's a default guy when you go to making lineups of someone you just edit in later. Tuttle?
To chalk or not to chalk? That is the question.
I mean, you're the
just
one.
Just take the good plays.
Yeah, this is your microphone and your lights we're talking about here.
I'm going to go CJ Anderson.
All right. Davis?
I'm gonna go Eli Manning.
All right. If we're going to Eli, I guess our decision is made about Odell versus Antonio Brown. Or maybe we just go naked Eli. How fun would that be if we went naked Eli as a contrarian play? Anyways.
Hey, if he throws one to Cruz, one to Donald, one to Beckham, and one to Shepard, we're in business.
Okay. Let's do it then. Let's go naked Eli. And so I'll go with my first wide receiver, Alshon Jeffrey. Evan?
I think I know who Evan wants to take.
J-Matt.
Love it. I love it. He's back. He is back.
It's going to be a fun sweat, Tuttle, with this Monday night game. We got Alshon versus Jordan Matthews. You know I love it.
You guys went primetime on me already.
You know I love the primetime matchups.
You got to get that late night, Monday night degenerate sweat.
Yeah. Who do you got, Tuttle?
I'm going to let Davis pick right now because I'm not sure what I want to fill this out with yet.
Well, I'm actually going to leave you the super hard decision of which cheap wide receiver to take, and we are going to take D'Angelo Williams. Because this is, I actually think that the cheap wide receiver you choose to roster on FanDuel is going to be the most important decision that you make this week in cash.
Well, we don't need to go that cheap because we already have Jesse James.
Right.
So, because if we place, let's just throw like Josh Lambo in at kicker, $4,500 defense. That gives me $8,300.
Yeah, let's go with Packers.
Well, never mind.
Let's go with Packers defense just for right now. If we need to move up, we can.
That works for me, which would give me $8,400.
Average Amari fits there.
A-Rob.
I like it. Works for me.
A-Rob over Hopkins.
Evan ain't scared of no 5'9" corner.
Evan, you don't mind Verrett on A-Rob?
No, especially after Verrett missed practice time with a calf injury.
Ooh, very nice.
Little baby Verrett gonna get sunned.
All right, so and we can move up to $200 to move up for Lambeau and or Packers if we want to.
Can we move up to Ravens D and bump our kicker to Prater?
We can move up to Ravens.
I pray to you, Matt Prater.
And we cannot move up to Prater.
Yeah, we can.
We can? Oh, yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
he's 4,600. Yep.
Can I propose something instead?
What?
Just real quick. One of my favorite GPP plays, especially if we're going naked Eli, let's just fade the chalk altogether and play Carson Palmer at quarterback.
I like it.
That's fine by me.
I love this.
So we go down to Lambeau, back to Lambeau, or whoever we want at 4,500.
Okay. All right, so we go back to Lambeau. Palmer, Anderson, D'Angelo Williams, Alshon Jeffrey, Jordan Matthews, Allen Robinson, Jesse James, the Outlaw, Matt Prater, and Baltimore Ravens defense.
Why are you calling Jesse James that?
Oh, my God.
Like, I understand the reference, but I don't think that's his nickname. I think you're just making that up.
No, that's his nickname.
That's his nickname.
Yo, this is a legit, pretty good lineup. I mean, it's got.
I like it.
A lot of TV scoring upside, and I like that we're all business last week. You know, in past week ones, we've done really well. I had a really bad week last week, and I just want to apologize to our listeners. Hopefully, we didn't lose too many. We're going to have much better weeks than that going forward. I mean, Sammy Watkins was a complete disaster. Woke call. And I just
D-Jax though. D-Jax mash.
I just want to let you know that I lost two.
Yeah.
I lost two.
Yeah, Deshaun was a good call though. You were all over that.
Yeah, Deshaun was a very good call. Agree. And I gave you grief, and it's my fault for not starting the Swolecast in a manner that it needed to be in. So I'll take the blame.
You did it in classic F5 fashion. You showed up 45 minutes late, David.
Right. And then I listened back, and some of the things that Davis did was like, yeah, like you could tell some of the stuff he just was not paying attention.
I mean,
on.
all my takes are really good last week. I did not lose money. So
Right. No, I'm not talking about your takes. I'm talking about your hosting. So I'm back in the saddle.
Especially that Doug Martin take.
he had 5 receptions.
No, because if you mention Doug Martin, he's
our DraftKings lineup was just egregious.
Yeah, he's immediately going to mention Philip Dorsett as a guy who.
I mean, Dorsett did lead the Colts in receiving.
Gosh.
So.
All right, Evan, let's start with a little bit of news and notes. This Colts offense, T.Y. Hilton, do we hear anything about him today?
Yeah, he's back at practice. I think they just gave him a day off. He'll play. I mean, to me, he's not really in play in daily fantasy.
Right.
This week, I mean, the ball is going to be spread around a lot in that offense. They're on the road in Denver. Andrew Luck actually does have a good history against the Broncos, but, just want guys in better spots, in my opinion.
So guys that will probably not play, Gronkowski, one of them. I'm just going to go ahead and guess he's not going to play. You also had Chris Hogan, who a lot of people were high on for DraftKings purposes because of his price tag, now downgraded a little bit. Where does this Patriots offense go this week?
I think you know where it goes, to the big fella.
LeGarrette.
Garoppolo takes the snap, turns around, gives it to the big fella.
Oh.
This is a good take.
This is a scary take. I've already on record saying I'm way too light this week in my initial lineup builds of having very little LeGarrette Blount.
I mean, what do you think is the alternative, David?
So my initial lineup construction is TJ Yeldon, especially on DK, and then I want to get in like one or two of the top four. And for me, the top four are David Johnson, CJ Anderson, D'Angelo Williams, and Lamar Miller. Because I think Lamar Miller is another guy who is kind of going a little bit under the radar with how much they're going to use him. Other than that, those are pretty much the guys. Maybe Rashad Jennings on FanDuel. I have 0 Rashad Jennings on DK.
Rashad Jennings is real chalk.
Yeah, and then on FanDuel though,
I don't know about that, man.
He's not chalk.
I don't know about that.
People hate old man Rashad.
I mean, all the content I've read, and granted, it's not a ton. I don't read a ton of people's stuff, but he's getting a lot of DFS Twitter love.
No, I mean, Barry was touting him on ESPN. He was actually on the front of ESPN.com a little bit this week, Rashad Jennings was. But I still don't think that people necessarily play him because people are going to be on the passing game in that game, and for good reason. Mm-hmm. For LeGarrette Blount, I thought it was really promising. So last week, the matchup set up really well for James White. And LeGarrette Blount actually wasn't that effective from an efficiency standpoint, but it looks like the way that the Patriots are going to run their offense with Garoppolo under center is that they're just going to play balanced offense. Whereas with Tom Brady, they would specifically match what they were going to do to try to exploit opponents' weaknesses. It looks like they're going to play balanced. So now they're back home where we know that where they're big favorites, and we know that LeGarrette Blount has a much better fantasy point expectation in games where the Patriots are favored. I mean, last week on the road, he got 22 carries. I think that they're just going to play balanced offense, and LeGarrette Blount is going to be a huge part of their game plan.
And he fumbled, and they went right back to him because they don't have another alternative. James White's not running. Brandon Bolden's not running. They cut Tyler Gaffney. DJ Foster is more of a wide receiver. They're with Jimmy G, they have no other choices other than to run him into the ground.
Yeah. I mean, Edelman seems like a guy that Edelman and Fitzgerald are two guys that I think might go under the radar that should see plenty of volume opportunities this week. Let's shift back to the quarterback situation. And first of all, Davis, would you like to do a PSA on using the right player and not using the wrong player?
So if you know me, you know that the devil is in the details and that the details sometimes get past me. So when you're making lineups this week, if you just type in McCown in order to get Josh McCown, the cheap starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, please make sure that you are not rostering Luke McCown, who is a backup for the Saints, I believe. But they're both there. So if you type in McCown, make sure that you are clicking on J McCown.
There you go.
Really good advice there.
There's
Yeah, good tips. Good tips.
No. I mean,
only on the Swolecast.
you think that's a bad tip, but I have rostered the wrong guy in cash games before and lost because
no one is surprised on this show.
Not at all.
That's why we got to do the PSA and get it over with. So the 3 quarterbacks, it seems like people are targeting Cam Newton, obviously. Just going to rip apart these 49ers on a short week going across the country. It's going to be bad. And he's going to smile the whole time that he does it.
Oh, yeah.
The other quarterbacks, Josh McCown gives you a lot of options to use on DK and even on FanDuel. And then Eli. Eli's the third option that a lot of people are gravitating towards. I think they're currently on FanDuel. I've got Eli and Antonio Brown. So, like, even if Odell goes off, I have a little bit of a hedge there with Eli passing those touchdowns to Odell, because that's like a really big question we'll talk about in a second with wide receiver. Tuttle, who are some other quarterbacks that you think might be some good targets for people to use in cash or in GPPs?
I think in cash games, you're not looking anywhere other than Cam Newton or Eli Manning, in my opinion. I don't think you go anywhere else. We just did a lineup on FanDuel with Eli Manning. You saw how easy it was to kind of work in who you wanted with him. I don't think there's any reason to go down to McCown at all. Don't make the same mistake twice of going back to the min-price quarterback.
I don't think McCown is a mistake on DraftKings. I want to go on the record with that.
Okay. Defend your boy, Davis. Do it.
Go for it.
I mean, I think we've seen a baseline of competency with him in this offense before, and that was without Corey Coleman, without Terrell Pryor. Duke Johnson is an effective pass catcher out of the backfield. Obviously, the stats with Barnkowski are incredible. I think he offers basically sort of a similar projection to what I had for Dak last week, which was a reasonable chance where 18 was his mean outcome. And I'll take 18 points from a min-sal quarterback in cash.
I think he's a better player than Dak. I'll go on the record and say that. I just think Cam and Eli are just far superior floors and ceilings.
I'll take that 200 or 457 yard performance against last year in week 5. That's what I'll take from McCown. So
I want to know what Evan thinks about McCown.
Yeah. And Evan, while you're talking about McCown, also more than one person has told me, and projections have said that Trevor Siemian is getting a better projection than McCown this week. So is it possible to pivot off of McCown to Siemian?
I mean, the way that the Broncos are going to play this year is not suitable to their quarterback scoring a lot of fantasy points. I don't think. Now, could they get into a situation where they're just living in the Colts red zone and Trevor Siemian comes away with 2 or 3 TDs? Like, yeah.
2 or 3 CJ Anderson screen pass TDs.
Yeah, dude. I mean, the Colts are a complete joke. They're like a college defense. That's what Greg Cosell compared them to. I mean, they can't rush the passer. All their secondary is hurt. Their linebackers are the slowest in the league. So they're bad at all 3 levels. And people are just going to be able to run all over them and throw all over them probably all season long, at least until they get back Vontae. And I don't even know if that'll make that big of a difference. But I don't want to play Trevor Siemian.
Yeah, I don't either.
I still don't think that he has that big of a ceiling. Like, even if he has a 3 TD game, I think his ceiling is like maybe 220 passing yards, And
they do have a huge team total. It's 26.
Yeah, but I think the team total is too high. And I'm not saying
I agree.
I'm not saying that I think that I know more than Bake, but I mean, in this particular situation, like, I'm not, putting all my eggs in the basket of a team total that I think is potentially too high, and for in an offense that is not built for the quarterback to score a lot of fantasy.
All that is a couple of Janovich touchdowns as well as C.J. Anderson, and there you go.
Maybe a few Virgil Green. Virgil Green going to eat. You did mention Ravens defense for that FanDuel lineup. So does that mean that you are not high at all on McCown and this Browns team? Evan?
I'm just surprised how, and I like McCown, coming from somebody who likes McCown.
Yeah, you've been on the trade McCown bandwagon ever since RG3 got that job.
Yeah, I thought the Broncos should have traded for him. I mean, I think they should have him in there over Trevor Siemian for sure. I mean, to a team that is competing for the Super Bowl every year, I think that a third or fourth round pick is definitely worth it. But I think that the Ravens defense is a little bit better than we give it credit for, especially after week one. And JJ has pointed out that actually over their last 8 games, the only quarterback to finish above quarterback 14 against the Ravens was Russell Wilson. So I don't know that the Ravens defense is quite as bad as our perception of it is. And I don't know. The Browns are also going to play a lot slower this year. They keep saying how they want to be a run-first team. I think that the situation is a little bit different than it was last year. Now, at min-price on DraftKings, I mean, you can't come up with a great argument against him. And even his price, other than, I don't know, I would like to see him play a game in the offense first and against a defense that I think is probably better than our perception is. I don't think McCown's going to go out there and light it up. I like the quarterback on the other side in that game a little bit better, actually. The Browns defense is a legit sieve. We know that for sure. And I think that Joe Flacco has a better chance to win some people some serious money this week than Josh McCown.
Yeah, and he's definitely got some options there as far as Mike Wallace. I'm afraid to roster any of these wide receivers, but agree, if you roster anybody from this team, it's Flacco. So I agree there. Davis, any other tournament guys that you like for this week?
Mariota at 6,000 on DraftKings.
Yes.
I want Silva's take on Carson Palmer. He's QB 10 on DraftKings for 6,900.
Yeah, he's underpriced on FanDuel too, I think. I mean, the Bucs are a funnel defense. They're a classic funnel defense. They stop the run. They don't get pressure on the quarterback. We just saw Matt Ryan have his best game in years against the Buccaneers defense. The Cardinals get him at home. If you like the high team, the team total stuff, the Cardinals have a really high team total. And David Johnson can make plays in the passing game too. I mean, they have so many weapons on offense against a funnel defense in a great spot. I love Carson Palmer this week.
Yeah, I think he's a good pairing with Fitzgerald this week. As a David Johnson owner last week,
Michael Floyd is in play too.
Yeah, John Brown not in play though. Can we all agree there? Evan, I love how you're drinking a big gallon of water instead of the normal.
Instead of the beer
30.
I know. But I looked on DraftKings and I thought that Carson Palmer should be in play and cash there. And I think he's underpriced on DraftKings.
Yeah, I think he could be considered cash game. I think he's going to be 5 to 10% owned.
Tuttle planting his flag on Carson Palmer. I love it. These are the Tuttle.
He's my cover boy.
I know.
Man.
These are the Tuttle takes that I really love. These are the Tuttle takes that make people all the money. So I might be going back and doing some shares. Let's move on to running back. Let's go ahead and list top 4 in order. As far as the guys, price doesn't matter. So don't even mind that David Johnson's in a price tier above on FanDuel.
It's DJ, D'Angelo,
CJ
Anderson, and Lamar Miller.
Okay. I've got the same thing except CJ above D'Angelo, but that's a big question for me as far as which one of those guys to use. Tuttle, what about you?
Same exact 4.
As Davis or me?
As Davis.
D'Angelo over Lamar?
Yep.
Okay. Evan?
I mean, I'm fine with all those. I think that Zeke Elliott is in a really interesting spot this week, but he would be my 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
After
I
those
like Zeke. I mean, Nate Noling did a really cool article on our site about expected point production, and it included like a little plot graph. D'Angelo Williams, regardless of results, just the touches he got and where he got them on the field, he was 2 times better than anyone else in football in expected points last week. Like I can't see fading him for 7,600 on FanDuel. Just feels terrible.
I felt really dumb watching that game on Monday.
I felt really dumb too because I had DJ.
Yep.
No, you felt even more dumb if you had Gurley, because like you saw the game before, then after that, the one game I thought Gurley was going to eat. Didn't like him all in season long, but I gave him a shot. No more. Just cutting out the Rams completely.
And he's out because they have brutal matchups the next 3 weeks. I mean, he's off the table.
Yeah, exactly. Some people like Adrian Peterson again this week. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I know Davis is not doing it.
Everyone
he's so bad
off that train like 2.5 years ago.
Evan, you want to bring some logic to this?
I mean, I would have a really hard time pulling the trigger on a 2-down running back. I mean, any 2-down running back, let alone one that costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just you're asking for a disaster, even if you think the spot is good. Which Todd Gurley looked like he had a really good spot last week, and he just got nuked.
So, a guy bringing up Davis mentioned Nate's article on our site. A guy that's popping up for expected DK points that I think is going to see heavy ownership, and I want to hear you guys' thoughts on. Danny Woodhead is 6th on the list.
Yeah. Smash.
Yeah,
he's a better play on DraftKings than FanDuel, obviously, but he played more snaps than Melvin Gordon last week, got more carries, got more red zone usage, and it's going to look like it was bad game script for him, but they were actually ahead that entire game while the Chiefs were making a comeback, and Woodhead was still the one on the field. He's actually on DraftKings. I think he's my 3rd ranked running back behind D'Angelo and DJ, just in terms of like almost raw expected total, like just points that I think he'll get.
And for what it's worth, Matt Forte was ranked 2nd in this list for expected DraftKings points.
There you go. Forte is just showing you what Bilal Powell is going to do when he gets in there, Evan. That's what he's showing you. As far as running backs,
I like Bilal Powell too.
I know you do.
I don't know why everybody hated Matt Forte though.
I don't either. Like I thought that he had a great week 2 matchup. So, anyways,
he's
in a forward-thinking show, Evan.
He's in an offense that's going to move the field, that funnels targets to running backs, that plays a lot of spread offense, which clears the field for him. I mean, he's in a money spot, and he's winning people weeks.
All right, so one of the reasons why I haven't been able to get on any LeGarrette Blount shares is because like I know what I'm going to be doing on FanDuel, and he just doesn't enter into that equation on FanDuel. And then on DK, even though you can use 3 running backs, he's just like, if I'm not using the top 4, I've got TJ Yeldon as number 1. So we definitely have to talk about TJ Yeldon. And then I also like Woodhead and Theo Riddick. I think Theo Riddick for a pass catching back, if all is clear as far as the cobwebs up in his head, provides like I just really like these pass catching backs instead of LeGarrette Blount on DK, who I know he's 4K, but it seems like the ceiling is a little limited for him. Let's go and talk about Yeldon.
Hey, to Davis's credit, I mean he was gobbling up all the Theo Riddick in season long before.
All the Theo Riddick,
all the
about half of it was intentional.
All Evan. The auto draft Theo Riddick. Evan, TJ Yeldon, is he a better play week 2 against a slightly worse defense than the Packers last week?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the issue last week was run blocking against the Packers. I mean, the Packers just lived in the Jaguars' backfield.
Yeah.
I mean, Luke Jekyll looks like a guy who he might get benched pretty soon here after they kicked him inside. But the opponent is much weaker this week. The touches were there, the playing time was there. I mean, I think he was around 90% of the snaps, and he's a good player, man. I mean, even though his stat line looked bad, like he was turning nothing runs into a little bit of something. He's a good player. I think he had 6 targets. In the
he had
game.
6 targets.
He did. Caught 4 of them.
So
yeah. So I really, really like TJ Yeldon. I don't know how he had 6 red zone touches. I'm still kind of scarred from last year where he just would never score touchdowns.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily love him on FanDuel because of that. But I think he's a really good play still on DK. I mean, his price went from like it's 4,700 to 4,700. I want to say.
Yeah.
Yep.
And on FanDuel, it just seems really easy just to pay up for a little bit for one of those top 4 or top 3 guys. Like David Johnson, he's in that price tier above. He makes it really easy to not play him in cash games, I think. With Odell and Antonio Brown's salary, like it's really hard to fit those guys in with him. Davis, are you about to do a magic trick for us, or what's going on? What's going on right now?
I'm just always shuffling these around.
Okay. Like do you just like shuffle them in front of the mic always? Like
oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I'm wondering.
It's not very professional.
I thought we were gonna.
Very professional of you to point it out.
I thought we were gonna have a magic trick just now.
We got work to do, David. We got more players. Come on.
Tuttled. If anybody's gonna throw shade on Yeldon, you're the last one. Do you want to?
No, I wouldn't throw any shade on him. I loved him last week. I was all on him before Chris Ivory was announced out. And I was actually kind of upset because I knew that would inflate his ownership percentage a bit.
He was still
I like Yeldon.
Low.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. It depends what contest you played, but lower stakes, he was still probably lower owned than he should have been. He was really low owned on FanDuel.
Let's move on to the wide receiver position. And Odell versus Antonio Brown. A lot of people are going to try to figure out what the chalk's going to be, who the higher owned guy is going to be. On one site, you've got AB higher. On the other site, you've got Odell higher. Which one for you, Evan? Odell or Antonio Brown this week?
OBJ.
All right.
The Bengals are maybe the only team that has shown some ability to contain Antonio Brown. Some people talk about how like double teaming wide receivers, that really rarely happens in the NFL. But the Bengals actually have some history of legitimate double teaming Antonio Brown. That doesn't mean that I think he's going to be a bust or anything like that. I mean, he could go 9 for 115 and not meet our expectations, at this point. But I think that Odell Beckham has the better outlook against a Saints defense that is just, it's worse than the Colts, who we talked about earlier. I think that Antonio Brown is right there, and he's probably my number 2 wide receiver play, but I'm going with OBJ number 1. You know who I think is really, really interesting for tournaments, and people have started to talk about him, and I hate it. I put him in 25% of my Thursday lock.
AJ?
It's Julio.
Oh, yeah.
No, AJG is he's in a dope spot too. I mean, you get the road splits, you get his history against the Steelers, you get the fact that Deshaun Jackson went over 100 yards against this defense last week.
He leads the NFL in market share after 1 week.
Yeah, you get the fact that they weren't just throwing bombs to him, like they're throwing bubble screens. He is what Julio was last year. That's what AJ Green is going to be this year. But Julio is, first of all, last year, Julio Jones averaged 14.5 targets per game on the road as opposed to 10.5 at home. So, it's possible that Matt Ryan, in more uncomfortable situations is going to lean more on his alpha, whereas last week, he's tried to spread it around a little bit to Sanu and Jacob Ting. Everybody finished with 8 targets among that trio. But I think that we will see Julio jump up. I think that his targets will be much greater this week. And he's facing a defense that I think is not as bad as it showed last week, but they did bench Sean Smith, their $40 million investment. And, it's possible that the dude's confidence is a little bit shaken. I mean, Julio Jones at his low ownership, which even though people have started to talk about it, he's still going to be low owned just because OBJ and AB and AJG are just all in such dope spots.
And injury concerns. And the fact that he burned people last week. Didn't have he was pretty much everyone's go-to guy. Exactly. So you got some recency bias. I like it. I like it a lot. I like both him and AJ Green as like GPP pivots off of Odell.
I bet you in the Thursday lock on FanDuel, Julio is like 4%, like maybe, like not even that.
Yeah. And also shout out to our sponsor, Draft, the Draft app, because you could get – everyone didn't want to draft Julio because of the news. He appears fine now. So
yeah, he's not even on the injury report anymore.
So he's fine. You can do it, and I like it. Let's talk about real quick. Tuttle, you're the last one as far as Antonio Brown versus Odell. You got Odell number one.
Yeah, I'm going Odell number one.
Oh gosh, I needed the Tuttle insurance for my AB over Odell take.
No, the Saints are the Coors Field of NFL DFS, and if you read.
You just stole that from Reeves.
I said that first. I said that.
Reeves said that. Reeves said that before you did.
This is part of the brand.
Reeves did not. I mean,
this is the Matthew Berry thing all over again from 2013.
Anyway, so they lost Delvin Breaux. The Saints beat writers are saying that they're relying on this guy who is a press corner. Who's a second-year player. He barely played last week. I don't remember his name right now. But you want Odell against press corners. That's like the number one spot to take him because the number one thing he's good at is he's just going to get lost off the line of scrimmage. Like a press corner is going to suck the spot is obviously amazing, but just a little bit of a detail is this guy who's supposed to cover him is going to try and get his hands on him at the line of scrimmage, and Odell is just too shifty for that.
You've got... So I think that Antonio Brown's the Coors Field of wide receivers. He's going to be perma-locked for me in that number one spot until he doesn't produce. Like, it's just hard. I get Odell. Like, I'll have shares of him. It's just going to be hard for anyone.
You are writing your like minus 80% ROI script right now. Like, it's just incredible that you would. Why are you not playing Odell, dude?
Do you think
as a block play?
Do you think the difference between Odell and Brown is going to be like significant?
I think the downside in playing Antonio Brown in cash is more significant because everyone's going to have Odell, so you at least need to play him as a block on both sides.
Right now, in my DK lineup, I have them both.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
I'm just saying.
Menzio was telling me that he was looking at a lineup on FD that had Brown at quarterback and it had AJ Green, Antonio Brown, and Odell.
Yeah, he showed us that lineup.
I think McCown is egregious on FanDuel.
I mean, for cash game, absolutely. But if you do use them, I like the Corey Coleman pairing with him. Only eats up $12K of total salary as like a tournament lineup. But let's talk about cheap wide receivers now. You've got on DK, really, you got to find a cheap wide receiver, maybe a couple. Right now, the two guys that are popping up, Tajay Sharp, Jeremy Curley.
Cole Beasley, too. And Tyrell Williams.
Yeah. So my lineup, the last lineup that I actually came up with had Tyrell Williams in there.
Yeah, and no one cares about your lineups, David.
I think it's like just a cash game lineup. Davis, I could beat you. Like Ben Pritchett style.
Yeah, okay. Evan, Tyrell Williams or Dontrell Inman?
I was just going to talk about Dontrell Inman.
He was the one who came in and played Keenan Allen's position.
He's going to be their slot receiver. He's going to run high percentage routes at the rookie Jalen Ramsey. He's Tyrell Williams. We don't really know just very much about him other than he's shown some big playability. But if you're looking for a guy that's going to rack up catches for, I think he's 3,600 on DK, Dontrell Inman is the guy who's your best bet to rack up catches on high percentage routes. I mean, Travis Benjamin, I still don't have a feel for him in this offense. He did get 7.5 targets in 7 targets in 1/2 after Keenan Allen left. So
I don't think he's that guy though. Like Travis Benjamin is
I
not
know.
a
I
12
know.
target a game guy.
He's like a bubble screen receiver who goes vertical sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I think that Inman, a guy who last year had a really nice game against Jacksonville, had another, I think he had like 5 for 58 TD against Jacksonville. 12 in week 16. He had 8 for 82 and a TD against the Raiders. I think that Inman leads this team in catches in week 2. And of course, if Danny Woodhead doesn't.
Right. Oh, man. The opportunity cost, though, for Tyrell Williams, like if he, like you said, like we don't know what he's going to do. But we have seen, talking to like beat reporters in OTAs and preseason, like he was the guy that they were talking about, even when Keenan Allen was out there. So this is like the week you could get a very explosive wide receiver that goes off for only 3,700.
So his
his
2 catches last week, though, came on total broken plays. He got picked up by a linebacker on the 33-yard reception, and the linebacker fell down. So he had the whole side of the field to himself. And the other one was on a 3rd and 13 broken play where he caught one in the flat and got the first down. So I don't think he exhibited huge signs of being like a constructed part of their offense last week.
Tuttle, you want to give your take?
Not really. You guys have it covered.
You're over Inman. All right, Tuttle, let's get
I'm over the Chargers wide receivers.
Yeah.
I think you can play one. Curly's the guy probably I'm looking at if I'm going really cheap.
Yeah, he's min salary, but he did take over that Bruce Ellington role that we were so excited about. He's just going to get
49% of their air yards last week.
He's just going to get like he's the Tajay Sharp of week 1. Like he's just going to get targets. Like that's all you're wanting.
Right.
You're not wanting like 20 points. You'll take 10. You'll take 10 DraftKings points and move on. As a guy
so the thing with the Chargers here is we're trying to figure out who's going to get the targets, whereas we know who's going to get the targets for the 49ers.
Yep. Good point.
They're trash targets, but they're still targets.
All right.
Yep.
Tajay Sharp. Tajay Sharp.
I think that on DraftKings he's absolutely in play.
You're not concerned about Slay shadowing him?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, a bunch of different Colts had good games last week against the Lions.
Good.
Nobody got shut down. Ty had like 6 for 72. Moncrief had like 6 for 65 and a TD. Forsett had 4 for 94. I mean, no, not worried about Darius Slay shadowing him. I mean, when we see Darius Slay shut someone down, then I think we can start to be concerned about that. But I'm not worried. And Tajay moves around a lot too.
Yeah.
The Titans. I mean, the offense gets to scheme too. If the offense wants to get the ball to a receiver, I mean they get the first step. So I'm not worried. I'm not sweating Darius Slay.
All right, good. Because I actually was hoping you would say that. I actually like the fact that there are articles out there where people are talking about, like, now it's very popular to talk about the cornerback matchups, and they're downgrading Sharp this week. And a lot of it is like for seasonal stuff. But I like the fact that people could be looking at this and getting off Tajay Sharp because of Slay. Because I do think that he is a fine play at 4,100. The only thing for me is I also like Delaney Walker this week, and having 2 Titans in lineups scares me. And so for me, a lot of it determines on one or the other. Let's talk about
Delaney is definitely in the dope spot.
Yeah, he's in a very good spot, and on DK he's only 4,500. FanDuel, he's like 3rd or 4th highest price guy. Active guy, so it's really tough to fit him in there. Tuttle, as far as cheap wide receivers though, other than Curly, like middle wide receivers, any
Tuttle
of them?
got to pound his chest a little bit about Will Fuller.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's definitely in play this week again.
Well, that was Tuttle's cover boy last week.
Yeah, I liked him last week.
You were sweating when he dropped that pass.
So here's the thing: I was at my parents' house and I couldn't even watch these games, so I'm like sweating on Twitter. and I see an 80-yard pass dropped and it wasn't very good.
Yeah.
And then he scored a touchdown, so it was all good. I don't really have any other, cheap guys I'm looking at. On FanDuel, it's really hard to find guys in that range under 6,000. Really, that it's tough to find a guy that you want to play there. I think optimal lineup construction, you're playing guys all over that on FanDuel. On DraftKings, like I said, I think I'm fine settling with a guy like Curly and then paying up at the rest of the spots.
One other wide receiver I just wanted to get in real quick before we moved on was Allen Hurns. If Verrett does play, I do think that'll funnel a little bit of volume to Hurns. And I mean, I just think the Jaguars will likely pass a good bit. 8 to 12 targets is a reasonable expectation for Hurns, who I think is pretty skilled.
He had 15 targets last week? No,
he had
never
5.
Mind. He had 5. That was Allen
Robinson had 15.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson had 15 with Clinton Dix just inside his pants. He was just getting mugged last week.
Let's talk about some other potential wide receivers. If you have anything to say about them, just go ahead and say it. It's like popcorn. Kelvin Benjamin, yay or nay?
Fine for tournaments, not a cash target.
The game script a little worrisome there.
Game script and the fact that Rivera says they want to scale back his snap percentage too.
Yeah. But they also said that. He also said that before.
I know what I needed.
I know they said that before, but then they came out after they didn't do it. Although he only played 72% in week 1, and then they said, "Well, we want to bring him down lower below that." So, and this is the week where they can do that. It's just when they get up by 30, who's going to be scoring the TDs? It's Benjamin and Olsen. So, I don't think he's in play for cash.
Hey.
I got a guy I want a Silva take on. I think he's going to be popular after going under-owned last week. I'm fading him this week. Willie Snead. Yeah,
see, he's the one Saints receiver that I like.
Yeah,
because he plays on the interior the most, and that's where you run after the Giants. Cole Beasley last week.
Yeah.
Bees goat.
It's just that the road splits for all those guys are significant. It's not just Breeze. It's Cooks. It's Willie Snead. Willie Snead has never scored a touchdown in a road game. But if I was going to choose a guy in that Saints wide receiver core this week, it would be Willie Snead.
I guess he's probably still playable on DraftKings with the PPR for 5,800. FanDuel, he's 7,200. I just can't see that.
Yeah. Nah wave on FanDuel. I did see reading through some of the matchup columns. A lot of people, there doesn't seem to be a known of who's gonna be covering him. A Snead. Different people have different things. So some people have upgrades, some people have downgrades for him. I think
I can tell you for sure that it's an upgrade. It's a good matchup for anybody who runs a lot of routes on the interior against the Giants. It's a good matchup.
Snead was
actually. You have the fact that the Giants' run defense shut down the Cowboys' running offense last week, and the Giants could end up as a little bit of a funnel defense as well. Drew Brees is still going to throw the ball 40 plus times.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of our branded guys. You've got Deshaun Jackson, who you mentioned last week, Evan. Thoughts on him going forward this week? Obviously, they're going to throw the ball a ton.
Are they?
If they have the ball, are they going to have the ball?
I don't necessarily think that is true.
You don't think they're going to throw the ball?
Kirk will have less dropbacks this week than he did last week. I'd be willing to book that.
How long are they going to have the ball? They can't stop the run, and they're facing the Cowboys who play keep away. So I don't know. I don't know how much play volume is going to be there. Of course, Deshaun is a guy who can overcome play volume for sure. He's a GPP play. Speaking of Monday night receivers from last week, the Monday night receivers from this week are really, really in great spots.
Yeah.
I'm
all in on Alshon for FanDuel.
So under-owned. It's absurd.
Yes, all in on Alshon. Talk me into J-Matt, though, as far as another guy that I need to get in our lineups.
So in a game last week where the Eagles had positive game script all game, Jordan Matthews gets 14 targets. Now they're in a game where they may experience more negative game script, and Zach Ertz is out of the picture. Nelson Aguilar did have a touchdown against Joe Hayden, who it looks like Joe Hayden's done last week.
Yeah.
I mean, Jordan Matthews is in a spot where he could have a shit ton of targets again. He got five of his 7 catches were in the slot last week, and the Bears slot corner is 5'10", 184-pound Bryce Callahan, a second-year undrafted free agent out of Rice. Jordan Matthews is 6'3", 212. I mean, this is about as good as it gets. And I'm playing Jordan Matthews in cash this week.
Jam him in, fellas.
Would you play him? Would you play him over Alshon for people that just have that one spot left on FanDuel?
I would.
I mean, I think that in tournament lineups, you get both of those dudes running, and I think you can come up with some great lineups.
No, Evan, I'm saying I've got Alshon in there. Do I need to get him out for Jordan Matthews? I need you to tell me.
I think you have to make your own decisions, Soccer Dave, but I think that they're both great fantasy plays.
Living that edge life on the fence. Tuttle, let's hear your take on Vincent Jackson, because this is going to be this is like a Tuttle play, I feel like.
I don't have a take on Vincent Jackson, but I have a Kevin White and GPP take.
Okay.
No, do not.
No.
Terrible.
This is not.
Ooh,
he's not
so much worse than any take.
This is a Davis Mattek.
Kevin White and GPP. Put it on the board.
No, Davis.
Now I'm playing him in all my freaking lineups.
Davis would not even stoop this low.
No, I would not.
All right.
I need my guy to be able to run a post route, just like a post route. Then you can roster him.
Total. Don't do it.
It's happening.
Don't do it.
Davis,
just to spite you guys.
Davis, Vincent Jackson as a cheap play. A lot of people are using him to save cap space to play these more expensive guys, thinking that he's going to be matched up with Brandon Williams. However, the defensive coordinator yesterday came out and said that they're not going to be shadowing him.
I mean, I do about
or Mike Evans rather with him Patrick Peterson.
20 to 25 hours of NFL research and lineup messing around before we do this show. And I honestly don't think the name Vincent Jackson has occurred to me.
Okay.
He doesn't even seem in the realm of playable guys.
Unlike Kevin White.
All right. That does it for the wide receiver bit. Wide receivers really where where most people are having the most trouble with, as far as figuring out the guys to play, the guys to make it work. So we should be spending the most time on there. Before we get to tight end real quick, make sure if you haven't already that you subscribe to our podcast channel, the Insiders Fantasy Football Podcast channel, and become a member of Fantasy Insiders, because it's been nonstop fun chat in the Platinum chat. Just lots of people making fun of other people.
I'm still not an admin. So butthurt.
Yeah. So Davis, he kicked me out of chat last year, and since then he has not had admin powers. Sorry, Davis. So just another reason. It's a fun chat. We also have some really sharp chats as far as soccer channels. It probably is one of the best things we have going for us. It's really fun. You can strategize and sweat games. Let's get on to the tight end position. It's so history lesson aside, as far as the outlaw goes.
No, I understood that. I've just never heard him referred as the outlaw before.
Okay. Moving on. Jesse James makes it way easy to construct lineups, especially on FanDuel. It's like you got your lineup in there and you have maybe another tight end. You're like, well, listen, if I go down to Jesse James, I could upgrade this player and this player to these players. He's just so cheap. Do you need to go anywhere else, Dan?
No, not on FanDuel. On DraftKings, I think you can.
Yeah.
Like Delaney Walker's not that much more expensive on DraftKings. He's probably the cash game play there. Yeah, there's a lot of similarly priced guys on DraftKings, but on FanDuel he's worth the play at 4,500.
Davis,
I'm guessing that people by now have heard all about the Heath Miller stuff.
Yeah,
the 10 catch games. But what's really important is that Jesse James played 100% of the Steelers' Week 1 snaps. since the preseason, Ben has been looking at him in the end zone. I mean, he had 2 targets inside the opposing 10-yard line last week.
He had a touchdown last week. It just didn't quite. He couldn't quite bring it down.
He had 7 targets, which is great for a tight end. He had 5 catches. I mean, without producing any big plays, he checked every single box. And then we have the Bengals' history of using actual legitimate double teams against AB. We have Marcus Wheaton back, which actually I think is a good thing for Jesse James because Marcus Wheaton struggles to win against man coverage.
Struggles everywhere, really.
Yeah, and then Carlos Dansby, the Bengals. I mean, he used to be a good coverage linebacker, but he turns 35 in November, and last week he was targeted 5 times in the passing game, and he allowed all 5 to be caught for 75 yards. So if Jesse James doesn't hit this week, I think I'm going to quit.
He's going to be extremely, extremely chalky on FanDuel, I think.
I still think that people will be like, I don't know if I could bring myself to use Jesse James.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, there are still people that want to use 34-year-old Vincent Jackson instead of one of these Chargers wide receivers.
people will use Antonio Gates. People will use
Barnage.
Jordan Reed will still have ownership. Greg Olsen will have ownership.
Yeah.
Greg
Olsen.
People love the fact that Travis Kelce had 2 big games against the Texans last year. I think that Jesse James goes lower owned than you think.
You've got the Barnage narrative also.
Yes.
Delaney Walker. Eric Ebron, a guy that he's that same salary. He's that same salary as Delaney Walker on DraftKings. I think he's definitely in play with that style offense. As far as Greg Olsen, though, I do think that he is like playable in cash games if you can find the value play to get him in there on FanDuel. Because if they're reducing Kelvin Benjamin's snaps, and you know that this is going to be who Cam goes to, you know he's going to get all the targets there in that game versus the 49ers. So
that's a $3,100 difference.
No, I know, but it's also. I would say it was
How much worse is this show with David allowed to talk the whole time?
That's $3,100.
It's just, it's unbelievable. This guy.
You done? You done? You have a magic card trick for us?
I zoned out for a minute because you were just like delivering a take that was like unlistenable.
You don't think Greg Olsen is in play at all?
Why? It just feels unnecessary. Like, just take your 8 targets from Jesse James and move down the line. We got more important things to deal with.
All right, let's create a team.
We have a comment in chat that Kitchen is a legit waste of oxygen. Hey, we haven't made our DraftKings team.
Yeah, we got to make our DK team really quick. Let's go. Let's do it. Evan, you're up.
Whoa, man! I gotta get on the website.
All right. I'm up.
Oh, God. No, and it's going to be Greg Olsen.
And I'm going Tyrell Williams.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good pick, David.
Good
job.
Go.
D'Angelo Williams. Or let's go non-chalk. I think DJ will be lower on. Let's go DJ.
Tuttle?
I was not prepared.
I mean,
I don't know why.
Literally, you're the one that said, let's make a DraftKings team. And then this is only the first
I know. This is my fault. I am going to pick.
Just go with Jesse James.
No, I don't think he's that.
Or Delaney.
Play.
Go Virgil Green, and let's move on.
No.
Or Uzuma.
Let Tuttle pick, guys.
Yeah, let Tuttle pick.
Tuttle is doing the classic stall move right now. It's a David Loughran classic stall move where he's like, let me pick. And as he's looking over.
Marcus Mariota.
All right. Nice. I like it. I like it a lot. Davis or Evan?
Can't really bring it back with anybody on the Lions. I mean, I guess you could bring it back with Marvin Jones.
Marvin Jones, Theo Riddick.
I just no, dude, no.
No.
LeGarrette Blount is 4,000.
Don't do this to us.
I knew it was going to happen.
Don't
I'm fine
do
with
this
it.
to us.
I'm okay with it.
Hang on. I mean, I'm open to changing.
Okay. Just
We-
pick.
He's going to be way low on. He's going to be way low owned on DK compared to FanDuel because people know he doesn't catch passes. But I mean, if he's getting all this run, his top 10 percentile outcome is a 2-touchdown game.
This could also be the spot for the Julio take, though, too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're doing it.
Okay. Thank you. Ooh, it was close.
Julio.
Davis.
Do we want to pair Mariota with Sharp?
Sharp or Delaney, either one.
Let's
Both.
go Delaney. His touchdown probability is higher.
All right, Delaney at 4,500. I'll go Yeldon just to continue at 4,700. Tuttle.
What defense were you running?
Let's just say
Raiders.
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 Yeah, let's say Raiders.
That's my cash defense, both sides, I think.
Agreed. Same.
We're going to run Raiders against our wide receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not Sharp. Let's go with Titans for right now.
No. That is fine.
I agree.
It's not good.
Yeah. I don't think we want to against our premier.
I mean, we're paying $9,200 for a wide receiver. We're hoping he's got at least 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Let's go Denver then, and let's just get exposure to the luck turnovers.
No,
not at 3,600. Let's go Cardinals against Tampa Bay if we're paying up,
That's fine.
or Seahawks against the Rams because the Rams are going to be terrible.
No, that's chalk.
Yeah. Cardinals. is good.
Silva's going to pick the defense for us.
Silva, what defense?
He's the only one I trust.
He just said that it's fine to pick our defense against our wide receiver. I don't trust him now.
I think the Chargers are being overlooked as a decent streamer this week.
They will be unowned, so that's fine by me.
All
I'm
right.
fine with it.
So we've got.
Listen, can I give some reasoning?
Yeah. Can he talk?
Yeah.
Can the man talk?
Last week they had 3 sacks against Alex Smith. They on the road they had 6 hits, which is a good number. And this week they're at home against Blake Bortles, who is a sack and turnover machine. And the Chargers are going to give up points, but we're hoping for a defensive TD or 2 and 4 or 5 sacks. And I think that's in their range of outcomes. And I think that makes sense at their low price.
All right.
I like it.
As far as the, we have 5,900 left per position.
And I know where I do. It's my pick. I do want to make this a game stack. I'm going to go Marvin Jones. And that gives us a Deshaun Jackson.
I mean, Marvin Jones is going to be underlooked. And you saw that tweet that Taglieri put out there about the team's ADOT. Every guy's under 2 yards except for Marvin Jones. So I do like that play a lot. So flex spot, we've got 6,300.
Yep.
I actually just put in Tajay Sharp and upgraded Tyrell Williams to Michael Floyd, and I actually like this line.
I think Julian Edelman is a fine play for 6,200. I think Deshaun Jackson, if we're going with Silva's boy. Manny Sanders, real quick, we didn't talk about Manny Sanders with Demaryius Thomas being out.
Well, Demaryius Thomas isn't out.
Well, he's got a hip injury, he's probably not going to play. What? We got donuts? We got donuts, guys. We got donuts. Say hi. All right. Okay, bring the donuts. All right, we're
Kara's got better takes.
we're
than
just
David.
we're finishing the show.
Kara can give us better takes here.
Finishing the
All
show.
right, so the final spot. What are
I want D-Jax.
Yeah,
He could score 2 against Brandon Carr on 4 targets.
I like it.
Yeah, Djax or Edelman, I'm fine with either of those guys. This is a solid team, though. Mariota, David Johnson, TJ Yeldon, Tyrell Williams, Julio Jones, Marvin Jones, Delaney Walker, and Chargers defense with the combination either Deshaun Jackson or Julian Edelman. So that will do it. Oh, you got a donut? Oh, cool. That will do it for the Swolecast. Special thanks to our guest, Evan Silva from rotoworld.com. Also, Davis Mattek. You can read his Automatic Absolutes. You can read Tuttle's takes as well on fantasyinsiders.com. Become a member. Join us. It'll be fun. We've got donuts. So on behalf of myself and my daughter, Kara, we'll see you later. Week 3 of the Swolecast. How was that donut?